Okay. This is this live, or are you recording this and then you're gonna release it
We're
later?
recording this and then we're gonna release it after some, tasteful editing to get rid of the dead air and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, because we don't trust our connection well enough to go live.
Yeah, no, hey, no, I totally get that. My internet connection, like, I don't even want to do live streams anymore while I'm down here
Right.
because
Yeah.
where I am right here, my internet is way too shitty.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't really trust the internet even for the calls, so we just want to, let's not take do two problems at the same time for our poor underpowered internet to deal with.
You know what? You're making the right call. I think you made the right call.
We like to hope so. That's kind of how we do all of our collab stuff. Last night we did a Far Cry 5 episode with Female Warrior, and that's how we did it. And we still disconnected from the game at one point. Welcome back, attractive and well-educated watchers, to our politics channel. This is Rico from the RicoRants channel, whose link is in the description, and you should definitely go and check out his channel. Lots more videos than we have. Probably quite a few better videos than we have. So.
Hey, I appreciate the compliments, but I wouldn't sell myself that much. I'm just some dude that just turns on a shitty webcam. Apparently it's shitty now.
Is it a shitty webcam? Are they saying that? Are people saying
I'm
that?
like, oh, you get a 1080p. I'm like, it is 1080p. Well, it's only recorded in 480p. I don't fucking...
We don't think that your webcam is... It's like, whatever, man. It's just a webcam, right? It works.
I will get that that high quality production grade quality shit later, maybe.
Maybe.
When I move, I don't know.
Right, yeah. Yeah, no, we think your stuff is pretty good. We don't think your webcam's shitty. We don't even have a webcam anymore, so.
Boy.
So today we want to do like our first. What would we call this? Like a podcast or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do like our first podcast on this channel where we talk about political bullshit, and we thought that since Rico, a proud member of Veterans Against Trump with a seemingly decent look at both sides most of the time, and people know that we like to be a centrist if at all possible. In the American perspective, we like to sit between the two parties because they're both children who can't stop fighting over the same toys, and we'd like to get his opinions on your opinions, Rico, on
by all means.
on the best case scenario, the worst case scenario, and the most realistic scenario, because that's generally somewhere in the middle, for this Trump situation, for old Orange Julius Caesar and his theoretical potential to not leave office, because he has announced at this point that he will not leave peacefully. There will be no concession speech and all that. So we'd like to wonder what you're thinking.
Yeah, this is not going to be a concession. He is going to walk away. He's going to slink away, bitter, angry. He is not going to dignify anybody with you. All right, I concede. You won fair and square. Here you go. He's not going to be there at the fucking ceremonial fucking tea.
So we're definitely jumping to the most realistic outcome then right away. Then we suppose, right? And we think you're right on that one. We mean anybody who thinks that he'll take this with any amount of grace hasn't been watching the same Trump we've been watching for the last 4 years. So we mean
none. He is going to leave a bitter, sore loser, being a giant asshat the whole time.
Well, it's like anybody who thinks anything else isn't just watching him right now. He's not being a good loser now.
No, God no. So. You know, watching all of his court cases go up in smoke. He just stabbed one of his greatest defenders, Sidney Powell, in the back.
Oh yeah, he did that, didn't he?
Yep, just fired her. Just like, I'm like, which is so perfect, and something it's like in this bleakest fuck administration, the one thing I have enjoyed watching these last 4 years is him throw every motherfucker, like every diehard loyal bootlicking sycophant under the bus. Like, he's been doing that consistently, and you think they fucking learn by now.
He is quite a bus driver. We'll give him that. He doesn't throw people under the bus. He drives buses over people.
He's full throttle that shit. Are you kidding me?
He's quite a bus driver.
Yeah, there is no one he won't throw under the bus.
Yeah, well, we mean, as soon as he lost, within a couple of days after he lost or whatever, he had forced 6 people to resign and we believe immediately replaced them with loyalists, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He immediately, if he didn't replace him, he just left the spot open.
Yeah, and that's a real tin pot dictator move, you know.
Tin pot did get rid of anybody not sufficiently loyal. Get out of here, all of you.
Yeah.
Oh, he wants only the people who will say yes to literally everything he says, and even they're not good enough.
We think realistically, the 21st of January is going to come, and the. He'll get a Secret Service retinue for the rest of his life because he's a former president, and every former president is entitled to that. But we think that if he tells them to turn, we think Legal Eagle probably said it best. You know, the head of the Secret Service, who will be under the purview of Biden, will just be like, yeah, don't open fire, just
yeah,
just don't do that.
Don't let him go.
Yeah. Trump will scream all he wants. And I'm sorry, Mr. Former President, we can't do that. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just like, I totally understand people's fears, and I'd rather people act accordingly, those fears. I'd rather you act as if the worst outcome could still happen, and then be wrong or have successfully prevented it, than everybody get complacent.
Of course, we like to say stay prepared. Without the E at the end, because you're so prepared you don't even need that second E.
Exactly. I would rather that. I would absolutely prefer that.
Don't there's another thing that we say in the Philosophy Collective, you don't have to start the revolution, but you also don't have to end it, you just have to survive it. You know, as long as you stay prepared, you'll survive the revolution.
Exactly.
You'll be just fine. So yeah, we think it's safe to say that, he'll be, you think he'll be all bluster right up until the 21st, and then they'll just escort him out of the...
All the way, but he is going to kick and scream and bluster all the way until the day he is officially removed from office.
Just until Biden delivers on his, well, we are more than capable of just, walking trespassers out. Yeah.
You will be escorted out.
Yeah, okay. Well, we think that's probably our frame of the most realistic take on how that's going to roll out. Everybody's thinking it's going to fall into complete and total anarchy, and a whole entire civil war coup is going to go down, and Trump certainly feels like he thinks he's going to be able to do that because he thinks the world of himself, but we don't think it's going to be. This is the real world. It's not a Disney movie. We think it's going to be quite a bit more muted than that. It's going to be very legal.
Mm-hmm. No, he's gonna go out not with a bang, but with a whimper.
But with a whimper, you think?
Mm-hmm.
Muttering.
His supporters are a different story. How Trump is going down is how Trump is gonna go down.
Right.
Go down a whimpering sad sack.
Right.
It's his supporters who are literally losing their fucking minds.
The cult of Trump.
The cult of Trump is having a straight up psychotic break right now.
Yeah.
And most of their anger is towards the Republican Party, which is, I'm like, hey, fucking tear them down all you want.
Fox News sucks chance. because Fox News announced the statistics.
Fox News dared to air accurate information on the election results.
My God, the first time since 1999, right?
Yeah, they dared to tell the truth, and their viewers couldn't handle it.
Right. Their target audience is now going to OANN and listening to the propaganda mills. We don't think that the left, as they say, the Dems are, also not guilty of going to their own propaganda mills. But we think that the right's been much more aggressive about it lately.
Here's the thing about the left-wing somewhat versions of that is that by and large on the left, our propaganda or media or what have you is largely grounded in reality. At worst, we're wrong about something, but that wrongness is still grounded in reality. Whereas on the right, these guys are living in just literally in a different world, like just an alternate reality with how wrong they are about literally everything.
Well, certainly when we look at things like the QAnon conspiracy and things like that going on, and that's you're correct in that there's some very extreme, very outrageous stuff on the right now.
Oh, Trump is actually winning in all the states that called it, like Michigan and Arizona, and all that called it for Biden are actually undecided.
Yeah, so says OANN, right? One American News
You know what
Network.
I mean? That's what I'm saying. They're living in quite literally an alternative reality.
Yeah. It sometimes definitely feels like that, and that's one of the reasons that we call it the Trump cult. The cult of Trump is because part of being in a cult is rejecting reality, is dividing information, insider versus outsider, black versus white information. That Trump is losing can't be true because that can't happen in their world. It can't be. It's physically impossible because, as anyone will tell you in that field, Trump is sent by God. Trump is the best. Trump is the healthiest president who's ever lived. He's got so many votes with X demographic, therefore he can't be a racist. Can we talk about that one, please? Oh my God, we hate that one so bad. Just because...
That one,
that was what
it's the same with the Proud Boy. The Proud Boys, you try to use that same bullshit too. Look, we got some non-white members when we saw the Proud Boys turn on the non-white members saying, "Nah, we're done pretending to not be racist. No, we're going full on Nazi now."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the same shit as it ever was. It's like we know that support is just a is a tokenized. The people that they're there for the sole purpose of being used as cover. We're not racist because we have some black supporters.
Yeah.
When really they fucking hate their black supporters. They hate the fuck out of them.
And realistically speaking, the cult leader doesn't care about what color the cult members are. As long as the cult, you don't have to like somebody to brainwash them. And that's what cults do. They brainwash people. So, if some ethnic minorities that Trump himself hates and has shown time and time again he bears extreme animosity for, happen to drift into his purview, that's just another vote for him. He's never going to talk to them. He's never going to shake their hand or anything like that. So why should he care? It's just a number to him. And in that sense, we think Trump really is a businessman. He'll take numbers any day.
Yeah. I stand by that. Like, I know people want to call Trump racist, and I'm like, I'm not one to jump on that because Trump is too self-centered to be that kind of person. For him, like you said, it comes down to you're just a number to him.
Yeah.
And even then, your number only has value if you're kissing his ass.
Yeah, it's the art of the deal to him. Just ask him; he'll tell you all about it.
Yeah, other than that, he really does not give a fuck who you are.
No, not really.
As long as you are kissing, even if you're kissing his ass, he'll still turn on you, as we've seen.
Certainly, he'll flip from he's my best friend, he's a great guy, he loves his people too. I gave him a chance and he blew it. I knew he was a crappy person the whole time, etc.
Or I never knew. I never heard of him. Never worked with him a day in my life.
Yeah, he did. He did that a couple of times. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's done that plenty of times. The motherfuckers. He just turned it around. have no idea who this person is.
I've actually only been in like the room with him once in my entire time knowing him.
I have no idea who this person is. I don't
It
know
certainly wasn't the strip bar we were both in snorting cocaine or whatever. No, he doesn't do cocaine. We do know that much. He's a devout teetotaler because his like brother died of alcohol poisoning or whatever. But
yeah,
not that
he's absolutely opposed to alcohol, but I think he has an Adderall thing. That's what I've heard.
Well, he does prescription medication. He'll take whatever his doctor gives him. We know that.
Yeah, he abused the shit out of it.
Yeah. But so we guess we've covered the realistic here. So from there we kind of want to segue into the fun bits, the best and the worst. The best and it comes to January 21st. What are the best and the worst outcomes? Which one do you want to start with? Because we might want to loop on these a little bit.
Start with that. How about that?
Huh? Sorry, we didn't. Yeah, you zipped out there.
Sorry, like I said, my internet's shit. But yeah, let's start with the worst then.
The worst. So January 21st comes around. Biden is supposed to be officially sworn in, but Trump refuses to give him office. What's the worst Trump could do here? Like,
the worst he could do, I mean, there's like the worst he could do is incite his supporters to attack.
Which would, in this case, be the collective police unions of America, the Proud Boys, various white supremacist groups, the far right, etc.
Yeah, that is the literal worst thing he could do.
Yeah. We know that he's got the police unions of America. He's even got the police unions of like Seattle, Washington, and over here in Portland, Oregon, where we are the least likely to give in to federal control. So we mean he has the police unions, which is very concerning as a homeless person with a disability.
Some folks have said, I try to tell people that it doesn't break down so smoothly. The lines, I mean, between the loyalties within local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies and police unions, like it's not so cleanly a breakdown where they all law enforcement enforce them. Like federal law enforcement is going to follow the letter of federal leadership.
Right, period. Of course, like they have been the whole time. Yeah,
they have just like the Secret Service. For them. That's it.
When Biden swears in, Biden's their boss now, not Trump.
Biden's their boss now, and that is it. It's like the military. Like the only thing they give a shit about is like who's in charge. Yeah, it's the paycheck and who's in charge of the federal government. Like that's. I'm not worried about any federal agent or anyone in any federal government position or organization, whatever, siding with Trump.
And we know, for example, that the military, an official is legally disallowed. It's in their contract when they sign into the military. You're not allowed to have a public stance on a candidate because you swear to the Constitution and you sign. That might seem unconstitutional to people thinking, I know my Constitution, but you're actually, what you're doing. You're signing that away when you join the military, and you're doing it for certain benefits that very much equal. You
are 100. You sign that contract. Your loyalty is to the federal government. It does not matter what the fuck anyone who you politically like. You don't like what your political views are. Your loyalty is to the federal government, to the Constitution.
Your life is to a 250-year-old piece of paper that's possibly one of the best governmental documents to ever be written.
Exactly.
You belong to that thing.
That's what you belong to. You swear to that. You fucking deviate from that, you will be fucking removed with extreme prejudice. So they will not fucking hesitate.
So we will not be seeing the military, even in the worst case scenario, we will not be seeing the military take Trump's side here.
Yeah, no, even in the worst case scenario, it's not happening. Even in the absolute worst case scenario, it's not happening. Now, with regards to, like I said, the Proud Boys definitely.
They're just standing by right now, right?
Yeah, like the street gangs and the right-wing street gangs and militias would absolutely stir up some shit. Yeah. Of which, again, I'm sure they'd do some damage, but they would ultimately be quelled by federal agents specifically.
Right, because
yes, I know we have a lot of local sheriffs and whatnot, and local law enforcement that would side with them, but ultimately, again, they are severely outgunned and outnumbered.
Right, because all that really powerful stuff that they come and bear down on Portland protesters over here with and everything, that all
Who
has
gets
to be
turned
granted.
on them.
That all has to be granted by federal and military sources. That can't be. That's not something every old police station just has lying around in the garage.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing is what I see happening is a lot of the local law enforcement, even though some of them obviously would want to, they wouldn't, because they're not, without the federal government support, they know they'd get fucking trounced.
They have very little individual support on their level. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, yeah, they'd be like, okay, there's a lot of us, we could definitely cause some trouble, but they would very easily get, like, there's no long-term gain here. Yeah, they'd be able to do some a whole lot of short-term damage.
They could probably go complaining the entire way, kicking and screaming just like anybody would, but not actually fighting it.
Exactly.
Right.
There is no long game here. There is no path. There's no legitimate path for Trump to remain in office. There is no long game structure that they could build from any kind of insurrection. There's nothing. They have nothing.
So from there, what we worry about is civil unrest, rebellion, and conspiracy? Question mark.
Yeah, basically short-term civil unrest, rebellion, and conspiracy. That's against the state and federal government. That's again specifically from them. But again, it would not last because there's nowhere to go.
So last is in 4 to 5 months, or
not even a fucking 1 month.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So February comes around and the insurrections have already been stomped by the new federal administration.
Absolutely.
How much damage do you think they could do? And remembering, like, we don't know if you've been out to like
a lot.
To like South Dakota, for example, but South Dakota is just full Trump territory for hundreds of miles in any given direction. Every single sheriff there is 100% white, 100% Trump all the way. And they all have a lot of guns in that part. Not terribly populated, but big guns. So how much damage could this kind of movement do in that short amount of time?
I think they could do a lot of damage. If I had to try to think of a scale, they could definitely take over a state for a short period of time, take over state capitals and whatnot. And
like a Midwest state or what have you?
Yeah, you know what I mean? They could definitely, like, they wouldn't be able to pull that shit off here in, say, North Carolina because there's a fuckload of military bases here.
Right.
But in the Midwest, they absolutely could. You know what I mean?
You could definitely see Rushmore flying the Trump flag over it for a few weeks or what have you before the National Guard was able to come back in and sweep them up or what have you.
Exactly. So it'd be a short-term spurt of damage and exerting their we're Trumps. We are Trump Republicans, or we're Trumpists. We're the real element, whatever the fuck they want to call themselves. But they have no path to any kind of institutional power outside of explicit violence that, again, they'd lose. So
would you see them?
Got nothing.
Would you see them? You're much more the modern military guy here. So, and there are a lot of veterans out, and we'll say it would happen, in the Midwest, like in the Dakotas or what have you. Would you say that movement? We'll call it a movement. That sounds reasonable. Would you say that movement would like sweep across in a big organized group, or would they break up into smaller cells and kind of commit a guerrilla style thing like in the Black Hills or what have you think?
They'd break up and balkanize because, again, because of the genuine, it's a bunch of things. But one, a lot of them are frauds and crooks and idiots.
Right.
But two,
just a bunch of rednecks who want to be racist and keep how it was in their day.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say a bunch of rednecks because I get that the temptation to call them that, but no, not even that.
Well,
Just
right,
that.
fair enough. Sorry, we probably shouldn't throw that rhetoric around. It's just disrespectful on foundation of it all.
Yeah, so that's what they do. We clear that up. It's
Yeah.
no. What these guys do, there's just a bunch of chest beating dumbasses with no legitimate path to power. Because again, with things like this, you got to consider economic power. Like, do they have how do they sustain themselves? What do they build
Right.
outside of the federal government within federally controlled states and whatnot?
And of
What do
course, you only get extremists doing this who are already down on their luck or run the risk of being down on their luck because they stand to lose from this change in power. If you're just fine and you're super secure, Trump leaving office, that's whatever to you.
Exactly. Like there's a lot of people, not as many of them as they like to be, because a lot of them aren't going to act because they're going to look at that and be like, they're going to look at their current situation. Well, yeah, he lost, but we still have our livelihoods. They're not going to just give all that up. Right. Most of them aren't, I would say. Most of them are going to be like, yeah, it sucks. They're like, so there's going to be a small handful that are like, let's go kill these motherfuckers right now. Let's go do this.
Right.
And then the other ones are going to be like,
you fell off. The other ones are going to be like, and then
they're gonna be like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm really willing to die and lose all my everything.
Right. We know somebody who's actually very supportive of our work, and we don't talk to him very much, but we talk to him every once in a while. They're very nice, and they're what we would call a weak Trump supporter. They vote along party lines, and
they're not willing to go to war.
No,
you know what I mean?
No, they're not. They're not going to risk their lives for the cult of Trump.
No, God, no. They will definitely wear a Trump flag and vote for him and donate to his campaign. Basically, he says so they will softly support him.
Yeah.
But you say pick up a gun and fight the federal government for him?
What? Nah.
God, no. They most of them are gonna look at that and be like, fuck no.
So even in the worst case scenario, a lot of that's gonna fall through for the orange man.
It's not. It's just the ones that do act, even if they do the worst amount of damage they can do, it won't last because it can't. They have nothing.
Yeah. And we suppose we can see social repercussions for a couple decades after that, of course.
Oh, for sure.
But that's probably going to happen no matter what.
What people don't consider with these type of things, when they be calling for revolution, is that a lot of these civil wars and whatnot, you have to, it's more than just guns. It's more than just bombs and bullets. There's medicine, there's supply lines, food, housing, all this good shit that you have to consider that these guys bank all their ability to fight the federal government and take over a state and sustain secede from the federal government on the sheer amount of guns and people they have.
Guns,
not
people,
on their
and
ability
food,
to,
yeah.
Not on their ability to actually survive to be able to have any kind of economic leverage over the federal government or survive any kind of sanction dealt onto them by the federal government. You know what I mean?
Well, we recall there's like a map of all of the various different places and if you look at the Democrats versus the Republicans, if we went to a civil war, it looks like the Republicans have, so much more space and land and everything than we won't say we because we're not a Democrat, but than the Democrats do, and so many more guns, and they have all the food production areas, and then you have to remember though that if you want to get most of the modern medicine from other countries, you have to go through the coastal networks, and all of the coastal networks are thoroughly held by Democrats, and the Democrats would therefore be the one controlling all of the international transit and the international trade, and therefore all of the money.
That's what I was going to say. It's like, I know the red areas control a lot of the food support forces within America.
Yeah.
But the federal government would just be like, okay, well, we'll just go through our outside sources to meet the same needs. We don't need you for that.
Well, and it's
So
also
you're not-
really
you-
important to remember that, people think that farmers just go about their business and just do everything with their own money, but that's definitely not how America's farming works. We run a heavily subsidized farm network.
Heavily that's also controlled by the federal government.
Yeah, the moment all of those, chest-thumping dumbasses out there, who are flying their Trump flags high and would rather die than let Biden take up office, realize that the money for their farms are going, because it is just a fact. Trump controls a huge amount of the middle class farm community vote. That's a big vote that voted for him. But the moment that they see that their farm subsidies are going to dry up, because they're public enemies of the state, they're going to turn around pretty fast.
They will turn coat, and that's what that these dudes don't realize. Is like, you guys are a lot more isolated than you think. You have an overly inflated sense of strength that you don't realize just how much the federal government controls and could very easily cut off all your supply line.
Well,
then all you have are your guns.
And war is very different just in the last 50 years than it was the way we still think about it. We still think about, guns, people, and food. That's what controls a war. And to a lesser degree, that's true. But at the same time, we live in an age of advanced products now.
Exactly.
How many advanced products do just food give you? Not terribly much. For that, you need to go to hyper advanced coastal networks that have open trade to Japan and stuff like that.
And guess who has control of the coastal networks?
That'd be Seattle and LA and all those dem cities, yeah.
Oh.
I mean, and don't get us wrong, like, Texas and Florida have a couple and everything. Once you get into the South, they have that part, but we don't think... we know Europe is not... Europe, where, that direction faces, is not as willing to do business with the Trumpians. That's one of the reasons that China has started doing more trade with Italy and Greece, because China's a more consistent trader than Trump. Trump is very mercurial, and we don't think that Europe would support a Trumpian revolution.
Nope.
So
no, they would not. You got to think. That's what I'm saying. I was going to think about international trade. You know what I mean? It's like these guys don't realize just how insignificant they really are,
and how distasteful they are to the rest of the world too.
Because it's because they don't have anything actually to offer. That's the big thing. Is like, yeah, they've got guns. It could kill people.
Most of the world doesn't really like guns right now, though.
Yeah, I'm like, but the rest of the world to see them just like, so you guys are just kind of suicidal shit starters. You don't really, there's no long-term profit in siding with you.
Right.
In our capitalist-heavy society, they look at them and be like, there is no long-term benefit for us at all with siding with you. None.
So how many people in this worst case scenario goes on? Unfortunately, it is a question we have to mull over, with hyper-violent fanatics.
I'm afraid I cannot give you an answer on that one. I have no definitive number because it comes down to who's going to do what when the time comes.
Right.
Like I said, I wholly expect the majority of them, obviously we won't be able to know what that number is because we won't be able to actually account for it.
Right.
But if we counted them based off the number of Trump supporters there are, the 70+ million people who voted Republican to keep Trump in office, I would say compared to that, a couple thousand of them and this is me being extremely generous at most.
Okay. So,
but really at most, what I believe, I'll say that the most realistic number, maybe 100.
Like 100,000?
Maybe a couple hundred people.
Oh.
If you combine all these militant right-wing groups, are actually going to go trying to go out guns blazing.
Okay. I could probably take down maybe 3 times that amount, as it were. But you said it was going to balkanize, and we kind of believe that. People at this level of extremism are seldom unified.
Yeah.
There's no operational coherence.
Yeah, and when I say that they're going to balkanize, I'm going off of. I actually intend to write an article on this. I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
But I just been too lazy to finish. But basically,
Do be
the
like
the American right wing is going to balkanize. It's going to splinter and fracture because, well, it kind of has to at this point, because now without Trump to unify them, then what the American right wingers want, all their factions want, are two different, and there's no one unifying figure anymore. Without Trump, a lot of these folks see no more legitimacy in the Republican Party. Many of them are going to become disillusioned and disengaged. Many of them who have been in this game, many of their thought leaders and supposed leaders, were nothing but frauds to begin with. They just in it to rip these motherfuckers off of their money. They would never lead an actual insurrection against the government. Right. Bless you. The vast majority of their leaders are all just a bunch of frauds who have just been ripping these people off. And those people are going to look to them like, hey, let's go do it. Lead us. Like, come on, let's go do it. And then they're going to be like, no.
It was good while it lasted, but I got dinner, man.
I'm not here to fight a war. I was just here to rip y'all off. I'm not here to actually fight. Like all that war talk and all they're stealing and talking about. I never actually meant any of it.
Right.
That was just to keep you guys scared enough to keep giving me money.
There's lots of bluster in the moment, but
a whole lot of bluster. But then when motherfuckers start asking them to come on, put your money where your mouth is, most of them are gonna fold. They're gonna be like, no, I never meant to do any of this. Because again, much of the American right-wing project has always been a scam. Just a giant, long con, decades-long con.
Just a way to get more money for the rich, and
this it, yeah. Literally, just feed off of racist, ignorant, insecure white people, and just keep them ignorant and dumb through right-wing media. Keep them inoculate them from any information outside of right-wing media, so you can have just a consistent voter base that you can always use to count on to keep you in power. But eventually, you gotta start delivering results. And this is the thing they wanted more than anything. And because again, their leaders, their party leaders, and their mainstream media leaders did not deliver the Trump presidency all of that shit adds up, and it's just gonna lead to people being like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Y'all have promised us this after this after this, and we've lost it all. And now you promised us that Trump was gonna win in a landslide, and he lost. And you tell me he stole it, but you're not defending him. Well, I don't understand. Like, they're losing it.
So actually, fun fact: the same amount that he said he won last election was a landslide against Hillary. He lost by the same amount electorally this election. So if he gets to say he won by a landslide last time, everybody gets to say he lost by a landslide this time. Fun little bit of note for people there who say, it's a really close thing. It's not. It's
not at all.
It's not.
Honestly, I was shocked by the Electoral College by how big of a fucking loss it was.
We were very surprised by the loss, actually. We very much, we'll be the first to admit it, and we're not ashamed to admit it. We thought it was going to be a carbon copy of the Hillary-Trump election in 2016. We thought he was going to...
Popular vote win,
lose the electoral. Yeah, exactly. We thought it was just going to be a carbon copy of that. We thought it was going to be almost exactly the same, even by the population count. But as we were wrong in 2016, we're more than willing to say that we were wrong in 2020. This really caught us off guard.
The whole election result caught me off guard. But there's only one thing that didn't surprise me, was how badly the Democrats did down ballot. Was because of just absolutely shitty campaigns all the way down.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's because literally all of the focus. I work with the Democratic Party, and all of the focus was on Biden, beating Trump. That was literally they didn't. No one gave a fuck about the down ballot people. It was all about Trump winning.
And that's one of the reasons that we thought that it would be a carbon copy. Yeah, that was one of the reasons that we thought that it would be a carbon copy of the Hillary election, because Biden was just pulling all of the same the Democratic campaign was pulling all the same cards out of Hillary's campaign. Biden was pulling all the same cards out of Hillary's campaign. It was amazing that as hideously out of touch as Biden is, that he didn't pull a stupid like Pokemon Go to the polls station like Hillary did in 2016. Oh my gods.
Yeah.
It was amazing that didn't happen, because they were just they didn't learn anything. It looked like nobody learned anything from 2016.
They really didn't. It took a whole lot of progressive orgs and whatnot, and down ballot Democratic people, not even down ballot, just Democratic Party operatives like myself and all that, who just kind of without on our own dime, on our own time, without any support from the state and federal party and national party, to pick up the slack for the Biden campaign, because the Democratic Party nationally and on the state side opted because of the virus to do effectively nothing.
Yeah. Well,
and it was out of concern for everybody else, but at the same time, it worked against us because the Republicans never stopped. They were aggressive.
And we think a huge part of it was that Trump was constantly ridiculing Biden and the Democratic Party for doing everything over the internet. But, realistically speaking, we're a YouTuber. We do everything through the internet, and, we don't do great, but we don't do horrible. And plenty of people are not public figures and are still YouTubers, and everybody knows about it. They could have done way better. They could have hired a couple of, young 20-something college graduates to do all of their digital work for them, and they could have crushed it this season. I mean, look at AOC. Look at AOC, for example.
Fucking let one landslide. Not even
close. And how did AOC win by a landslide? I mean, she got on the fucking internet. She got on the internet, and she went out there and actually did the thing that people are doing now. And Biden
has a significant online presence.
Yeah, Biden had the opportunity, and it's weird because we thought Biden would, because Biden was such a memester when he was vice president. In the Obama administration, he was always doing silly shit all the time.
And he just didn't this time.
Yeah, he could have. He had the skills.
Foundation was there.
The foundation was there. He had the skills, but he didn't. And that is to his peril, politically speaking,
and not just him, the Democratic Party down ballot overall. Again, it was bad.
Yeah, it was not good. And we believe you are our senior, and we are considered a younger individual, but we do think that having the average age of the elected officials in office being over 60 or whatever is a huge part. You can't expect people in office that old to be able to understand, new laws that are coming out about internet law and space law.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the Space Force now. Say what you want about how ridiculous its presentation was, how it's an obvious ripoff of Star Trek. It is. But it has been a long time coming. We've had space travel for over 50 years now. We should have had a space force of sorts by now, and we need new, better internet laws by people who actually understand what the internet is and don't need to interrogate Mark Zuckerberg in front of the Supreme Court for 7 hours to find out how to, turn their Facebook account to private.
These old folks gotta step down, which is an entirely separate issue.
Yeah, it's an entirely separate issue, but we think it did kind of. This is one symptom of that
of a bigger problem with our gerontocracy.
Yes, exactly. So even if it gets as bad, the absolute worst, we'll only see a couple thousand people die. You think it'll be done in a month and it'll get crushed.
Yep.
So what about the best possible thing? Can we say before we get into that, we think part of the best possible outcome here? We're not sure if you saw the picture or the video we sent. It was this like comedian Trump impersonator in like a kindergarten classroom or whatever on the ground screaming, "I don't want to go, I don't want to go," and the Secret Service members all, "Mr. Trump, you have to go now. You have to."
You gotta go, man. Look,
We can only hope that it's like that he actually like gets on the ground and throws a fit like a 5-year-old
throws a
child.
whole ass fit, and they gotta drag his ass out.
Well, he grabs on the chair and the door hinge and whatnot to try to stay in. We can only hope that would be the best. But more,
The best case scenario, I would say, is if they actually have to drag him out and we get to watch. That would be fucking hilarious.
Oh, you know that somebody is gonna have a camera on that's not owned by the federal government.
I ask for nothing else. Please, God, drag him out and make it so we can all watch. Please, that would be amazing.
Yeah, all you White House peepers and stuff, like, because you know that there's like this huge groups of people who like spend all their time trying to look in on the White House, like, with their giant, super huge lensed cameras and all you White House peepers. If you hear this, if you find where he's gonna be walked out and just keep your camera on, please. We really want to see We want to see him dragged.
Please, I have to see this.
And to all of our potential future watchers out there, people who are, we don't normally bear ill will against candidates like
fuck
this.
that. I bear ill will like a motherfucker.
Well, we mean about just general candidates. Trump is a special kind of bad person, and we don't wish ill on most people. When Trump got the coronavirus, we didn't wish he died, but we sure as hell wish that he had the worst possible experience that he could, so maybe that he would feel even a small portion of the pain that his criminal negligence has caused hundreds of thousands of people who have lost their lives at this point. We are absolutely not ashamed, that being said, to see him dragged kicking and screaming like a 5-year-old child out of the White House, throwing a conniption fit and grabbing onto chairs and the frames of doors and stuff. That would be so great. It would make up for the whole 4 years. And we're not a very good person.
Right, me neither. But I say, other than that happening, also best case is that all these fucking militant dipshits just say he does call for somebody. I know somebody, at least one person, absolutely is gonna be calling for violence.
Absolutely.
And then most of them just don't, because hey, it's time. Come on, it's time. Here we go. Let's go do it. Let's go keep him in office.
We would
I'm hoping most of them just fizzle out. They just were like. They was all talk, and then it's finally time to act, and then they just don't.
Like the Naruto run on Area 51. Busted in to see that, millions of people say they're gonna come, and 100 people arrive.
Only a handful of fucking people actually show up.
Right. That was really funny when that happened, by the way. We were like,
it was such a big thing. That the Area 51 had media showed up, and they were at the Warren Air Force people, and people were like, hey, all right, listen, we gotta teach these people what a Naruto run is, and then all these fucking people are about
right,
and then all these people are about to show up.
They were ready.
They were, but no, only a handful of fucking people showed up for a fucking photo op.
Oh no, we think it's so hilarious too, because we did a little article on it or whatever when we heard what was happening, because they were all planning to go to this one town that literally had a whole year population of 390, had one hotel, had no public water fountains or anything like that, had a corner store, didn't have anything. They were not ready for a million people to show up at Area 51, but that's where the site was supposed to be. That's where everybody was supposed to meet up and spend 3 days or whatever to get ready. And we're like, this is never gonna work.
Yeah.
So what about people like Louis DeJoy, the Postmaster General, mega donor to the Trump party? You know, people that Trump has put in just to cause trouble, just to solidify his base. You know, what do you think is going to happen to them in the best and worst case possibilities?
In the worst case, these folks, like honestly, in the absolute worst case they can do is stay in their positions.
Yeah, just keep doing wrong.
Just keep doing wrong. But the best case and what I'm expecting is a Biden clean house on all Trump appointees and all that.
Just sweeps the entire everybody that he absolutely can.
Yep, anybody he can remove without the need of the Senate, he'll remove them.
Right. We think he shouldn't find too terribly much difficulty on that. I mean, he'll get pushback like everybody does. It'll be regarded as kind of a low move, but compared to his predecessor, we don't think in the grand scale of things it will matter.
It seems like they learned the lessons from Obama years. Like Obama basically realized too, he's like, yeah, no, we made a huge fucking mistake thinking that any of these guys like were at all ever arguing in good faith. Or that we could work with them. That was a huge fucking mistake. Even mainstream media liberals are like, okay, yeah, at this point, if you think you can work with the Republican Party, you are sorely fucking mistaken.
We think at this point, especially this year. This year, it is as official as it could be. For the first time in their entire history, the Republican Party did not issue a platform for this term. They actually specifically announced that the Republican Party will have no platform this term except to support Donald J. Trump eagerly and loyally in all of his decisions, and to oppose the Democratic Party in any and all of their decisions. And at that point, that's not politics, that's schoolyard squabbles.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
Without Trump, then it's because it's true. Without Trump, they have nothing.
Yeah. No, literally nothing in this case. The only thing they have is opposing the Democrats, and that's not a legitimate party platform. Sorry, if people say that there is any reason to talk to the Republicans seriously in the Senate bloc, no, there's not. It's officially written in their foundational platform for this term that we're not allowed to talk to them. We don't talk to Democrats. They're yucky.
We don't stand for anything but being anti-Democrat.
Yeah,
that's it. We are pro-Trump, anti-Democrat. We stand for literally nothing else.
We have chosen to not have a platform this time around, except for that.
We have nothing else going on for us. We have nothing else that it's just no.
The least moderate decision you can make, right?
And the thing is, I think that huge gambit has worked against them because it didn't work out. They were hoping I think they really were radicalized by their own right-wing media and by their own base. I think they were really hoping for a Trump blowout.
They certainly were expecting a Trump blowout. All the propaganda, they were saying it enough, and that
they believed it.
Well, and you believe something because you wish it to be true, or because you fear it to be true, and
yep. And so they put all their eggs in the Trump basket. Their platform again is pretty much again is just whatever Trump wants. We are the party of Trump. You know what I mean? And it didn't fucking materialize. Trump lost pretty handily.
And it's a shame because some people vote, party over country or whatever, but when party and candidate become the same thing, any vote for the candidate is against the country.
Exactly. And now that they've lost the candidate, I'm saying now that they've lost the candidate, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it's going to fall apart. They're going to balkanize. The diehards, Trump supporters are just going to they are going to sink further into delusional media outlets like OAN. You know what I mean? They want nothing to do with Fox News or any news who reports anything even remotely negatively Trump.
Shun those who disobey or disbelieve.
Yep.
Cult
Anyone who does
tactic
not
number one.
sufficiently. Yep. Well, they're gonna go 100% cult tactic. Right-wing media is gonna balkanize because they know that was their base, and they don't know what to. A lot of them are trying to play the middle ground here, but their base isn't middle ground. Their base is unhinged.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lot's gonna happen. I cannot say specifically what it's all gonna happen, but it ain't gonna be pretty for the right wing. And it's going to be, and if we don't deal with it, it is going to become something pretty fucking bad.
Do you think that the left will be able to appropriately handle the situation?
We definitely can. It's really going to come down to what the Biden administration does.
Yeah.
Because if the Biden administration doesn't crack, the Department of Justice does not crack down on the growing extremism and their ties to the Republican Party and local law enforcement, that's going to fucking be a big fucking problem for the federal government and our country and America as a whole.
Yeah.
They don't crack down on the rapid spread of misinformation by right-wing media, Republicans and all that jazz. Again, all this shit is going to come back to bite us all, especially the federal government, in the ass. So it's really going to come down to what the Biden administration does if they actually tackle this shit before it's too late.
So we suppose in that case that's a natural segue to the next natural question. What do you think would be the best thing for the Biden administration in the next 2 to 6 months, coming into office and 4 to 5 months after office to do?
First things first, I would say the first things first is stabilizing the economy. Shutting shit down, paying everybody to stay home, like right out the fucking gate.
Oh, so bottom up. Just go bottom up.
Bottom up. They need to win back everybody's good graces immediately.
We would definitely agree to say that the good graces of the people is not with the federal government right now.
No, they have to win that shit back immediately.
Yeah.
Like Biden needs to that is the first thing they need to do is win back people's trust and faith in the federal government. Because without it, this whole shit's gonna fall apart.
Yeah, we're just going nowhere without that.
Yeah, so the federal government, Biden's administration, from day fucking one hopefully, it seems like we're most likely gonna get the Democratic-controlled Senate. It looks like that's what's gonna happen.
You think we're gonna get there? We haven't been paying as much attention to that. We've had our niece over, so
I'm pretty confident we're gonna get the 50-50 split Senate with the vice president,
the runoff.
Kamala Harris. Yeah, on the runoffs. We're going to get the 50-50 split, and then Kamala's going to be the deciding vote on all Senate, on all everything.
That's a big factor to have a united House and Senate.
Exactly. So if we get that united House and Senate, then out the gate from day fucking one, Biden, for the first 3 months, Biden and his administration need to go all in on getting people money and getting shit shut down, expanding out testing and tracing, getting the vaccine out, all that jazz. They need to fucking go hard on that from day one, paying businesses to stay closed, giving rebates on people who've lost income and whatnot. The federal government has to just fuck the deficit. They have to go all in.
Well, circular flow is what keeps an economy going.
The deficit won't be an issue. I know people are going to be like, oh, what about the deficit and the debt? But trust me, it don't matter if things stay the way they are right now. None of that's going to matter. How
about you just make Amazon pay 2.5% taxes or whatever? That'll take care of literally everything.
A fraction of Amazon's fucking money.
It's not like everybody isn't just going to be spending their shit on Amazon anyway.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So they're going to get that money back anyways.
Yeah.
So I'm like, they need to do that shit from day one. First and foremost, meet people's needs immediately.
Yeah.
That is the first thing they need to do.
Well, and we think, and this is coming from somebody who's been homeless off and on for 6 years now. If everybody seems to be so, concerned with the upper class, and we understand that is where the money is, but if you were to enrich your lower class. We've been on the street a lot. We've met a lot of people on the street. We've talked to them about their aspirations and stuff. And the things that Trump says about people being on the street being losers, and the generic party line that you shouldn't give handouts to homeless people or poor people because they'll just go buy drugs with it or everything. We don't know about anybody else, but we didn't really have money for drugs. We barely had money to feed ourselves. We didn't have any friends or anybody to allow for us. And the moment we started getting a support network, our concern wasn't with ourself. Our concern was with enriching the environment that we were put in so that we might be considered, acceptable to stay there and acceptable to be integrated into the pack, as it were. So, most of this that they say about it, if you just give the poor people this money, they'll just, spend it all on booze and cigarettes and ruin their life with it or whatever. They only say that because that's what they do, not because that's what these rich people would do, not what the poor people would do. A lot of projection. Yeah, it's a lot of projection there. The poor people are mostly not concerned about that. And if you were to enrich those people as an authority figure, to put the trust in the average populace to maintain their own, needs, that would go a long way to not only just bring support into your court, but to remove and lower the voter apathy in our nation, get people to think more about the candidate that they're voting for instead of just stick to their party or whatever. Once a candidate actually connects with an individual, that's when the individual feels the need. That's when they feel like their vote counts.
Yeah.
And if Biden wants to do that, he's going to have to do what you say,
He have to from day one. Because if he doesn't, then the long-term unity of this country is gone. Because without trust in the legitimacy of the federal government, without faith and belief in it, the fascists who feed off of that discontentment and disillusionment and that lack of unity, they're going to fucking capitalize on that, and there will be hell to pay.
So actually, you said something right there, and that brings up, it's a bit of a hot word coming on here, the word fascist. So we know what you're talking about, but fascist is a word that's thrown around, fascist and Nazi. Oh, we just got demonetized there, like, instantly.
My bad.
No, it's cool. We're too small to be monetizable anyway. But those kind of words are being thrown around a lot now. We find at times them to be strong and inappropriately placed, and at other times, of course, completely properly defined and in the right area. What are you talking about when you say, fascists and stuff? Because you're a well-educated guy. We trust that you know what you're talking about, but for the benefit of our viewers.
If I talk about fascists, I talk about the ultranationalists, authoritarians. We're talking institutional side wide. We're talking people like Bill Barr, who's a strong, he is a diehard believer in authoritarianism and ultranationalism.
Sorry to cut you off. We're so glad you said Bill Barr. We hate that guy. Not actually. We don't really hate people. We try to not hate people.
I get what you're saying.
But that guy is the least free-loving, he is
absolutely opposed to freedom and liberty.
We have
full on.
Yeah. He's Trump's personal lawyer. He's the head of Trump's personal law team, as far as we're concerned.
He is a full-on die-hard authoritarian. He absolutely would bring about a fascist dictatorship if he could. He's that kind of guy.
It's funny because we're told that we kind of lean a little authoritarian by a lot of people because we're somewhat pro-regulation. We've seen what deregulation has allowed, and we're not a huge fan of it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people make that mistake. They just assume all authority is authoritarian. That's basically their argument when they say shit like that.
And we wouldn't identify that way, of course.
Of course. I'm like, that's not how authoritarianism works. Just having authority and exercising rules and regulations is not authoritarianism. You know, and that's not how that works. Authoritarianism is when the authority subverts all people's, like goes above all people's rights and freedoms, even when the authority themselves is illegitimate and corrupt. It doesn't matter. It's all about fucking, I can do whatever I want to, whenever I want to. There's not a goddamn thing any of you can do to stop me.
Yeah.
There's no, like, the authority answers to no one but that authority.
Yeah, and frankly,
none of you can stop me.
And frankly, you know, not big L libertarian, but we'd always considered ourselves to be a bit more on the libertarian scheme. You're right to swing your fist. You can swing your fist anywhere you want until it hits the tip of our nose. You know, that's the kind of feeling that we generally run with. You're right to swing your fist. You have the liberty to do that right until it touches somebody, and then it becomes assault. You know, so we like to think that people are pretty free to do whatever they want. You know, in the Carlinian sense, we have unlimited rights, but we have social contracts also to keep from killing each other in the streets.
Yes, I'm saying it's all I say. That's what I mean when I say authoritarian. When I say fascism, it's these Proud Boy boot the gangs where they want to go around fucking killing folks. If they could get away with it, they'd be gunning down any Democrat, any non-white person, anyone insufficiently loyal to them and to their institutional party. Yeah. So say the Republican Party, or anyone insufficiently loyal to Trump. You know what I mean? That's what they do. You know what I mean? That's what I mean by fascist is if they can take advantage of a destabilized government and country and economy, there's citizens that have now become effectively ungovernable, they absolutely would. Hey. And they would fucking start slaughtering folks and fill the power vacuum left by the federal government. So
a hyper-nationalist, populist regime, as it were, authoritarian populist regime, is what you mean when you say that.
I wouldn't call them populist, but other than everything else, yeah.
Okay, fair enough, yeah. Populism is a word that's thrown around.
Yeah, what they want ain't popular. What they want ain't at all popular.
Yeah. Okay, well that's fair enough. Yeah, we see where you're going there. We as somebody who lives in Portland and has been living in Portland, you know, off and on for quite a while here, and for the duration of the pandemic here, we're staying with family. The family's trying to stay tight knit for the crisis, as we don't think anybody should be judged for. During the time we've seen a lot of Trump's nonsense hit Portland, because Oregon is that state that a lot of people just pretend doesn't exist, you know, and Portland is that weird place that the far right, when they're trying to experiment with like an authoritarian measure or whatever, they try to do it on Portland pretty consistently because we're small enough that nobody will notice. Really, you know, we're not like Seattle or like LA or whatever, where, you know, we have tens of millions of people who will get up in arms at any moment. We're only like 2.5 million people here, so we've seen, you know, the Proud Boys have come rushing in. We had the 6 mile long Trump caravan that came in. Somebody got shot and killed at that. We've had we had the fire tornado. Did you hear about the fire tornado?
I know about all that shit.
Yeah. When Trump's soldiers were here.
I want to talk about that.
Do it. Let's do it. Because we were here. You know.
And what I'm not talking about is necessarily the fire tornado. I want everybody to think about misinformation and why I'm a big believer in the need for censorship. So our misinformation has gotten so bad that it is effectively making places ungovernable, because the people are so horribly misinformed about everything to the point that they don't react correctly to they can't even respond appropriately to a crisis.
Yeah.
So during that.
So, there were the fires here a couple months ago where the whole entire West Coast was like the literal picture of hell, like with red air and everything. During that fire, the misinformation was getting so bad during that fire that people who had the fires like blocks away from their house, like advancing, consuming their next door neighbors' places, were staying in because they had been, you know, alerted allegedly to this ridiculous conspiracy that BLM members were running around outside of houses waiting for people to escape their houses so they could beat them up and kidnap them and rape them and stuff. And we're like, The literal
But guess
state
what?
is on fire. How could you think that?
But hold on. But guess what, audience? Guess what the BLM actually stood for? Take a guess. The Bureau of Land Management.
Oh no, they're talking about the Black Lives Matter movement.
They confused things stated by the Bureau of Land Management with Black Lives Matter. They were saying BLM is trying to get you. Don't listen to BLM. BLM was the Bureau of Land Management, who was trying to fucking help these people.
Yeah, they were trying. They were going in front of people's houses and with buses and stuff that were there to help evacuate the areas. Because if people don't know, like, Estacada is gone. Like, there are towns in Oregon here, like a half an hour away, that are gone. Like, not burned down, not like there's a bunch of rubble, just gone. Like, piles of ashes gone. And so the Bureau of Land Management was running around, like, with, you know, school buses and stuff, like, stopping in front of people's houses that were in the fire line, being like, get out of your house now, you need to get into the thing. But people had been hearing that BLM, and they were thinking the Black Lives Matter, were going around in big buses to beat people up and steal their stuff. And it's like, how do you make that comparison? How do you draw those?
It's years of misinformation has got these people living in an alternate reality, which has thus made them ungovernable. Yeah. It has made these people a danger to themselves and everyone around them.
Yeah. Well, shared psychosis, as Dr. Bandy actually like to says, you know, the misinformation and the psychosis of actually psychotic individuals around them spreads to them and makes them paranoid and makes them go crazy.
I'm saying it's just like, at a certain point, something has to give. It doesn't make you authoritarian to stopping things that are causing a lot of fucking harm and damage to the place that you're tasked with governing. At a certain point, you gotta make a call. And I'm like, all right, well, this misinformation is getting my people killed. The people that is my job to protect is getting them killed and making them a danger to themselves and those around them. So I'm shutting that misinformation down.
Yeah, well, and as a writer, we don't like censorship on the, you know, on the general principle. Of course, we absolutely would not shut down, you know, deplatform somebody unless they were calling for violence or whatever. But the problem is this particular branch of misinformation that has come out absolutely does call for violence. It absolutely does. Endanger people
effectively. Yeah.
It absolutely, you know, we have super spreaders going around. People who would rather throw a fit in the middle of Walmart and literally spit in the faces of, you know, frontline workers than wear a mask, you know, and all because they think, for whatever reason, that a company does not have the right to, you know, establish rules on their own property. It's completely outrageous and outlandish.
You created rules and regulations required to be met on your property. That's authoritarian. How dare you censor me? Like, how dare you tell me I can't shit on your floor and throw it at the guest?
It's exactly. I know my rights.
I know my rights. I thought this was America.
Oh, are you there? Are you there? Hello?
And out there, I told you my internet's it's very
it's cool. It's cool. That was funny though. Yeah, no, it really does feel like that. It feels like, well, especially with the stores. With the stores is especially where, because, you know, people don't seem to understand that stores are not public properties. Like, they're owned by corporations, which are private.
Yeah.
And you know, when you get down to that, you know, you're not wearing a mask in the store, well, they can tell you to get out the same way that we can tell you to get out of our house. We don't personally have a house, but, you know, the thing still applies.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah. Let's just summarize the things we talked about.
Yes.
You know, and then say goodbye.
Definitely. That is where we're at. All right. So, long story short, we covered the best, worst, and most theoretically realistic cases about what's going to happen in the next 2 to 6 months through the transition of the Trump presidency to the Biden presidency. We were talking about misinformation being a huge thing right when Rico cut off there, so for sure we'd love to pick right back up there. Do you remember exactly what you're saying?
Yes, long story short. All right. Having rules and standards is not censorship. And sometimes when the misinformation spread, when the information that's put out there is making the people that you're tasked with protecting ungovernable and a danger to themselves and those around them, then sometimes you're gonna have to fucking embrace censorship. You know what I mean? So that, because something's gotta give, as we were saying before, with the way people were responding to the Bureau of Land Management, it's expect more of that, but worse.
Yeah.
Going forward.
Because that's, as we can see, Trump is our divider in chief. You know, he runs off of that particular force of social manipulation. Unfortunately. Yeah, and so on the note of social, of misinformation, it's important, we've been finding lately, not to just tell people to like do their research, because you can tell any flat earther to go do their research and they'll go find everything that'll tell them that the earth is flat. Yeah. So we think you did a video recently that kind of puts into perspective how we think about that. Maybe don't go do your research specifically, but don't shy away from the mainstream on principle. You did a video recently about, not just rejecting mainstream media. Obviously be skeptical. And in our opinion, we like to do a lot of science, and we like to look at the overwhelming scientific community. There are overwhelming majorities of certain things, and generally speaking, when the overwhelming majority comes to a conclusion, it's a safe bet. We like to think that Trumpian people are this overwhelming majority, but they're not. They're the outstanding, or the overwhelming majority. They're the outstanding minority in actuality. Yeah. The really, really, really loud but still small group. We think, and we're wondering if you agree, we think one of the best ways to avoid misinformation is to look at, the overwhelming scientific majority, the overwhelming historical consensus, things like that. Obviously, there are exceptions, but do you think that's reasonable?
I think so. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
And I would say also some warnings. I was like, if at any point you see any kind of news outlet or any person saying that they are the best source for the most accurate of news, or like they're the only real truth tellers out there, or anything, you can pretty much assume, it is safe to assume that they are a fucking fraud.
You can never find a bigger sack of shit than one that openly comes and splatters in your face.
You might as well be trying to, you just shit on the plate and trying to serve it to me and tell me it's a fucking 5-star meal. Like, come on now, buddy.
Yeah. Well, we think that's one of the reasons that, like, independent YouTube news is getting big. Like, Philip DeFranco is something that we watch every single day that they make something, because a big part of Philip DeFranco is, that's just my opinion. What's your opinion on the matter? Keeping the dialogue open is extremely important.
He does.
Oh. We might get him back here. It'll all be edited in post. Hello? Hello? We will tell you when we hear you. Hello? Oh, we got you. We got something. We got something.
Can you
We can
fucking
hear
hear
you. We can totally hear you loud and clear. Awesome.
Let's wrap it up. Thanks for having me on. It has been a pleasure.
Definitely. It has been great to have you, Rico. We're really glad to do more collabs on our political stuff because you know, it's always a bucket of fun when we do collabs, and you
Absolutely.
have excellent insights on your channel.
Try my best.
Awesome. All right, everybody, go on down to the description. Give RicoRants channel a bunch of love. Go subscribe to him. Go check out all of his talks. He has considerably more regular stuff than us. It was great having you here, Rico.
It was a fucking pleasure. Fuck this internet. You have a great night.
You too, man. Thank you guys, everybody, for coming. Like, subscribe, hit that bell for all the things, do all the supportive things. Stay safe, stay inside, save lives, and remember the Black Lives Matter. Bye.